Hey guys, Rick, and that is One Big Pile of Bricks with our amazing guest, Dean Rankine.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
What's been happening? What's happening in your world? Everything's changed for you.
That's an awful question.
That is a great question.
Nothing much at the moment. The COVID, I'm not sure if you heard of this. It's been around. I think that's sort of knocked everybody around in different ways. But I've been pretty fortunate that I've had work all the way through, which has been nice.
Yeah. You're an amazing comic book artist. Obviously, you designed our amazing logo. And I don't know if you guys can see it right at the back, but there is a amazing picture of Caroline and I as Simpsons characters, because Dean used to do Simpsons comic books.
Yeah, when Simpsons comics were still going, I worked on Simpsons comics. I worked on Futurama. I've worked on Rick and Morty, Invader Zim.
That's exciting.
That's pretty cool. I Hate Fairyland. I've been working on the Timmy the TikTok Pony series written by Magda Zabansky. That's really cool. And I've just recently did a graphic novel through Archie called The Riverdale Diaries, starring Veronica.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's pretty amazing. It's amazing that you've been able to reach out of the con circuit, especially with everything that's been happening in the last couple of years.
Yeah, so I think in 2019 I did 15 conventions.
Wow.
That's
a lot.
It was a lot.
It's a lot of traveling for people that don't know. He's going to like Supernovas and Oz Comic Cons
and that's how we first met you, Dean.
Yeah,
Armageddon's as well. I think it was, I'm going to say maybe 2012, I think it was 2012. I could be a year or two out.
I was thinking on the way here, I thought, gee, it must be getting close to 10 years.
It is close.
Because there was Oz Comic Con Melbourne.
It was in the Royal Exhibition Building, and Rick raced up to me. We had a booth there. We were selling Lego, obviously. Had a booth. Rick raced up to me, and he's like, oh, I want you to meet this guy called Dean Rankine. He drew a sketch of me, and I think the next morning you had it ready, and it was like Rick at a time when he was wearing glasses, big cheeky smile, and as soon as I saw it, I thought it was hilarious. Perfectly captured Rick's image completely, that cheeky look on his face.
They're fun to do.
And since then in the past you did numerous in-store appearances for us where you...
Sorry for interrupting, but what happened, because Rick said, look, we're in, it was when the shop was in Terrell.
Old school times. That's like the very first
This is like
store. Years
ago. He said, you got to drop in. So, we did like a family holiday, and on the way back, I said, we're in Terrell, we're going to go say hi.
Yeah.
And, and I think that was kind of like, you got to know each other more and more. We did some in-stores and,
For those who don't know, our original Terrell store is about the same size as this podcast.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Studio right here, so it was very tiny.
Yeah.
But that was amazing. We got to meet you, and you've done a fair few. You did our opening weekend of the small Pakenham store, I believe.
Yes.
And then you did the other Pakenham store as well.
Just to explain to everyone else at home, we took people's names and numbers, and they had like a set. I can't remember. I think it was a 30-minute time slot, and they turned up at their time, and you drew them as a Simpsons character.
As a Simpsons character, yeah. So it's kind of what I do at conventions and stuff like that. But I haven't done really many in stores, but I've always tried to get down to this one, so it's fun.
I know it's unfortunate that at the time when we launched this store, that it was still COVID restrictions and crazy town, and it's just been a weird, Even
I think 3 weeks ago we meant to have you on the podcast, Dean, and Dan, our cameraman, had a little incident at work where one of the cleaners, who doesn't really associate with, ended up getting COVID. So of course he had to go and get tested, and we were still waiting on the test results up until about 4 p.m. on the filming day.
That's right.
So we did catch up anyway.
We hung out.
That was nice.
It was fun.
We
had Thai food. It was good.
Yes, it was very
We
good.
watched Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yes, and we caught up on old times, just as a lot of people have had to catch up after, I think, 18 months of lockdown.
Yeah, it just feels like a blur. I don't know about you guys. It's like, I don't know.
It's just been like, even now, at the time this podcast gets released, which will be at a later date, but at the time of recording, we're leading up to Christmas, so a lot of the stuff we're talking about right now might not make sense to you guys, but it makes sense to everyone in this room.
Yes, that's right.
And even with the lead up to Christmas coming up right now, we sort of there's only 4 weekends to Christmas, and we're like, it's really not that far away. It's kind of a bit crazy. Yeah, it's come up really quick, fast. And I think too, even in the news today, because the world is so surrounded by negativity with everything that's going on, everyone's doing the wrong thing. It's like Christmas has come, we're like, oh, where did the year go?
Yeah.
But, we're glad that things are back on track, that you're going to be attending conventions again soon.
I am, yep.
What's happening?
Are you excited?
What's happening soon?
Yeah. It'll be all over by the time this comes out.
I'll
be doing Oz Comic Con in Melbourne, and I think we'll be taking things slow. I wasn't expecting to do any conventions. Probably.
I'm really glad that they're able to do a homegrown version with Australian people.
Yeah.
And see if that works, because if it becomes a viable business model, I'd like to see more, because there's a lot of Australian actors and comic book artists and designers that they could focus on, really.
Yeah.
And stop lining the pockets of celebrities that don't need any more money.
Well, yeah,
give it all to teens.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I couldn't agree more.
You've been one of the lucky ones, though. You have, in addition to doing your comic book work, you do have a stable source of income as well.
Yeah. So like my wife Kylie works, and I work. It's like just 12 hours a week with a needle and syringe program. So drive around and give out. Provide cleaning, injecting equipment to drug users. So and I've done that for like 20 years. So
wow.
And I don't think even if I if I become really really famous and made all this money, I think I'd still do it because I like the job and I like the work, and it is nice to have that sort of some stable income.
But it is giving back too, right? Like it's about giving back to the community and making people feel safe.
I do get paid,
so
it's not. I don't I'm not sure if it's like pure altruism, but I've always.
But maybe if you became super famous and super rich, you could do it for free.
No.
And a shout out. Let's just give Kylie a shout out. She goes to work every day, earns that stable income.
You know what they say behind every successful man is a woman that's working twice as hard to make money.
Yeah.
Because Caroline supports me.
Yes.
Kylie supports you. That's how it goes, right?
But exactly.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, but it's interesting though. I think that creative arts is it's a tough gig to survive in, and you can be super successful, but it doesn't mean the money's coming in on a regular basis all the time.
But with arts, especially in this country, with the lack of support of arts, you can be successful but not be rich.
Absolutely. That's right. So I think it's one of those it's almost like a secret that you don't really talk about. Like if I was doing a panel at a convention, maybe I wouldn't say I work part-time, because people don't then perceive it as success if you're working part-time. But you got to eat, you got to be a grown-up.
That's right. And do you think us being in Australia hurts your prospects with the comic book industry because you're so far away?
Limits, perhaps. You
mean. I think. I think it does to a degree. So on one hand, I think I've had opportunities with conventions that I wouldn't have, say, in the States. Right? Because you go, okay, well, you're a local creator and you worked on these incredible IPs. Yeah. So that means that there's I don't know. There's a lot more few of us. In the country who've done that kind of work. But to be able to, as far as actually get work, I think it's to get work as an Australian, say in the American comic book industry, is an absolute small miracle. That I scored Simpsons is just.
You did.
So how did you score Simpsons? Was it an easy process?
I was lucky. Have I told you my origin story?
I don't actually think about the opening story.
Well, let me bust this out for you. I say it. I've told this story a lot. So it went like this, right? So I was in Dandenong, and I went to Coles Dandenong. First I'll backtrack. I was drawing for those kids magazines that were at the time all the rage, that you could buy at supermarkets.
Oh, cool. Like Kid Zone?
Yeah. K-Zone and D-Mag and Mania magazine, those kind of ones, right? So I was doing some work for them, and my work kind of dried up.
Oh, wow.
So I went to Coles and thought, well, what kind of stuff? What's around? And I picked up a Simpsons comic, and I thought, well, this looks all really good. But there was this one page that was like, it wasn't quite on model, and it wasn't quite as good as the other work that was in there. Yeah. And I looked at this kind of a little bit more mediocre kind of page, and I thought, I could just about do that. I could just about draw as well as that. By this stage, I was 38 by this stage. I'd been drawing my whole life, doing lots of comics, but still thought, I'm not sure if I'm quite good enough.
Yeah.
So at the time, which is incredible now, Bongo, the publisher, had an email that you could send submissions to.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so I managed to find the submission email, sent stuff off, and they got back to me and they said they liked it. Looking back at it, people don't believe me. It's awful. My work was awful, right? And I did this.
Maybe in comparison to what you can do now.
Yeah. Well, so I did this like it was a sort of a story between Apu and Snake, and he was robbing the Quickie Mart, but there was something about it was kind of off model, but obviously there was something that they saw in it that they liked.
And you've created your own opportunity instead of saying, "Oh, well, there's no work for me." You've gone, "Oh, how can I?"
Very much so. And I ran with it. Like I would continue. I wrote my own work, inked, penciled, inked, and coloured everything. So what it was mainly backup stories, and it was 2-4 pages, and I would send them off. I would send sort of roughs off, like rough out the whole story. If I heard back, they would normally say yes. If I didn't hear back, I'd know. Okay, I didn't get anything. But yeah, I just kept sending it through. I think part of my fear was, what if I only get one published? What if it's ever only one? Will I still be successful? But so as long as they were going for, I was really fortunate. I kept plugging it away, and I think I'm always going to be known for the guy who drew Simpsons. Like that. I can't imagine working on something that's bigger than that. Given my style, I'm very cartoony kind of style, and I think that. But that's okay. I don't mind that. I'll and given that because I worked on that, it means then I got invited to conventions. Then I was able to draw people Simpsons style, and then you meet people, and there's little opportunities come up. And so with what didn't happen was I've never had a big snowball moment that, you worked on that, you must get, people offer you work all the time. And that just didn't happen and has never really happened for me. I've always been a little bit of, I send stuff off. Working on Simpsons, I think, cracks the door open a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if you say, I've worked on Simpsons, I've worked on Futurama, then they will consider looking at your work. But it's never suddenly, I've never been like, now I don't have to worry about getting work. It just has not happened like that.
But I think that's a lot that goes.
That goes a lot for you, and you've met the creator of The Simpsons, is that right?
Yes, he's lovely. Yeah, but that's my name drop. Yes, I have met Granny.
And you ended up one year. You ended up being able to go away to New Caledonia for an event,
that was 2019. I got invited to New Caledonia. If you ever have a chance to go, you should go because it's. Yeah.
Is there any Lego stores there? Maybe we can set up a Lego shop.
Maybe. Which event was that for? I know you told me.
Weekend Geek, it's called. It was so good. I was so
I'm kind of jealous that you got to go because we were living through your photos.
Yeah, it was just so nice. And I don't speak any French, which is a bit of an issue. But most people would they would take it easy on you. And
they would also be aware that the standard Australian doesn't really speak any other language but
which we should be ashamed of.
Which is broken English at best.
And so. Also they have a lot of Australian tourists go.
Oh, that's cool.
So, but I had a ball. Oh, they do have sea snakes.
That's a bit weird.
I think they do in.
Imagine going for a swim.
Oh no, I was in a swim and I was in the water which is pristine, beautiful beaches.
You see this thing just float.
Freaking sea snake comes along.
Well, if you had the opportunity, would you go back?
Oh yeah, God. Oh yeah, in a second.
Maybe when the world returns to normal, you'll have a chance to go back.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
That would be pretty amazing. Because how was your I'm assuming it was one of your first times going to San Diego Comic-Con?
Yeah. I've only been there once, and that was a couple of years ago.
How was the experience for you coming from Australia over to San Diego as a comic book artist?
Yeah, look, it was good, and what I was hoping for was to maybe be able to show my portfolio to publishers. And I didn't get that much of an opportunity, to be honest.
Is that because it's flooded at San Diego? Because that's the mecca, for comic book guys?
I think yes and no, but I think it's just some publishers that they just didn't do it there. And maybe they might do it other places. And I think that's you're talking about not being a local.
Yeah.
So I think if you're a local artist in the US, you go to conventions and you get to be known, and you get to know, you make friends to collaborate with other people and that kind of thing, and I think it is just easier.
Sorry, I'm laughing because of the dog Ruby.
She's being cheeky.
I think Ruby wants to go
she's
out.
tapping the door. Caroline will be back. So just open the door, Caroline. She'll go down if she needs to. You can't tap and then not want to go downstairs.
No. She wants you. I think she wants
featuring the famous Ruby. Maybe she wants up on you. I don't know. I don't know what she's doing.
Do you want to come up? Come here.
This is a bit of entertaining. You got to see a cat in one, and then you get to see Ruby in another.
I know, right?
Just make sure she doesn't hurt herself on a statue, because that's not more the statue, the poor dog.
Sure, is it the dog or the statue?
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh, that's what she wanted. Look at that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is a little baby Ruby.
Baby wants a little.
I think when you promote this particular video, you go, "Oh, there's this comic book artist, but hey, look at my dog."
We're speaking of Dean Rankin, but look at Ruby.
I can't compete with this.
So with the Magda Zabansky, that's how I'm saying it right?
Yes, let's go with that.
How did you land that job?
So I had worked for Scholastic on another series.
Oh, cool.
And this is going to make years now. And they said, "Oh, we've got this, this book series about a famous pony, and it's like by a well-known Australian entertainer." And I had no idea who it was, so I sent some stuff off, and then I didn't hear anything back for until the following year.
Wow!
And then obviously I had to do a lot of redraws to get the character right. But it was really cool to find out it was Magda Zabansky. That's really sweet. For some reason, I thought it was going to be Kamal. No, seriously.
Oh, really? Kamal?
In my head.
Kamal? Really?
I don't know why.
Yeah, Kamal's just writing a book about a pony. You know,
I don't know. Could be Kamal. I don't know why. It was.
Yeah, but that's kind of our generation. The Hey Hey Saturday. You know.
I don't know why I thought it. But it was a deep thought in my head. Go, I reckon it might be Kamal. I don't know why, and it wasn't.
No.
But you did
not yet. You never know.
You did the dad book that was crowdfunded, right? We've got one of those.
Yes, we do.
Baby's First Exorcism is another one.
We've got one of those. Yeah, we've got that as well.
Yeah, they were crowdfunded. So it's nice to do. I'd like to be able to write more, given the opportunity, and also I just want to be able to work. I just like to work. I like to. So if it means that I have to write so I can draw, great. But I don't know.
You're definitely creative enough to be writing, that's for sure.
I think so. I do, and I do like that component of it. It's fun. I like to make things. I like to.
Well, do you think too? You've had obviously quite a long career with The Simpsons. Have you reached a point where you're looking for something else and something bigger and more creative for yourself?
No. I've always I'm not sure. Yeah, I think like I'm saying, I want to tell stories. I want to produce things, and so however that kind of looks is really kind of cool with me. I think about this a lot. I think I really want it to go through a publisher. I don't want to just self-publish.
Yeah.
My
self-publish would be hard, right? Because you got to crowdfund pretty much, right?
You got to crowdfund. Like obviously, you get a lot more freedom to create, but I do like to. There's something really sweet about being approached by a well-known publisher or writer to go, "Oh, can you draw my book?"
Yeah,
that's I don't know. I do like that.
Mass market appeal as well, right? Because they can put it in every retailer wherever they want to put it.
Yeah,
right?
It's really nice, and sometimes some things you get royalties for, so it's really nice. And you just sitting there one day and you get a check, which is really nice. So
I think royalty backends would be an important part of the process for you, right? Would you get many? Not really.
No, see, not generally. I haven't in the past. It's only more in recent years that I've scored them. So, but it's really nice to get when you can get them.
Well, that's cool.
And so for young people who are wondering about or thinking about potentially having a career as an illustrator, how did you actually get to that point? Did you go to formal art school?
Yes, So I did, after high school, I did year 11, and then I went to...
Dean did high school in 1932.
Yeah, back in the old day. And then I went to TAFE, went to Franks and TAFE, and did an art and design course for 2 years, and which they just bulldozed the building just recently.
That would have made it a bit sad for you.
That's sad. It is that makes it,
it's typical.
It does make me feel old. Yeah. But so from then, I started freelancing. I can't say that the TAFE course, I don't think I was really in a position, I didn't really want to learn, I think. I feel like I've learned more just on the job.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of sketches at conventions, I've
drawn for like a long time. Like, and there was some. I think it was. I'm going to say Mark Silvestri, the comic artist, and that may not be true, but who said something like, "You've got to like draw 2,000 pages before you're any good."
Wow.
And not only that, I mean, I'm going to assume. If you're thinking about being only as good as your next gig, I'm assuming that you have to be a people person and know how to speak to others, as well as being a very talented artist.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think depending on what you're doing, isn't there like 3 rules? You have to be good enough at what you do. You have to be nice enough to work for, and you have to hit deadlines. Those are the kinds of things. But I think it's interesting. Something like, say, the conventions, you could be a really great artist, but you could be a terrible people person, and I think that comes out. Like, people won't want to.
No, they want you.
They won't want you. They won't want you as a guest. They won't want to interact with you. So I'm always really try to be careful with people who come to my table. That you want to be nice. You want to be, I think, gentle, because going up to people's tables at conventions, I think is kind of scary. But yeah, like something like and I think as a convention guest, it's actually a whole different skill base than being at home drawing. If you're presenting in front of people, or if you're being interviewed for podcasts and this kind of thing, right? No, but seriously, like as a kid, as a young person, I hated speaking.
I was the same. It took me a long time. The business forced me to get a bit out of my shell a little bit.
It's like you have to. I hated speaking in the microphones or being recorded, and I think that's part of the reason why I gravitated towards comics and telling stories through my art, because my voice always failed me. But now it's like, I kind of do it all the time.
Do you feel, is it because you feel comfortable more in your own skin than you did when you were younger? Do you think that's a big part of it as well?
I think so. Look, I think, yes. Like, I don't know I don't know which came first, but I do feel more comfortable with who I am now. I grew up in a small beach town, and you had to, if you didn't play footy or surf,
it's one of those towns.
Then you weren't anything, right? So I wasn't anything. But one of the nice things about the conventions, like the first convention I went to Supernova in Sydney years and years ago, and
I wonder if we were there as well.
Probably.
Oh, we can talk about that.
Might have been the first one. I know we were there quite a long time.
I know the convention circuit's been such a big circuit, and I think back then it was less commercialised as it is now, and I think back then it was a bit nicer because it wasn't all about selling the biggest product and selling you the most expensive thing. That's why the artist alley section, where you're generally in, is my favourite part, because you're buying stuff that's interesting.
Genuine.
You know what? That's how we met you, obviously.
And directly from the artist. And so what was really nice about that convention, and like in all the conventions since, is when I walk into a convention, like, oh, look, these are my people.
Yes.
You know,
well, you can always tell who are the new ones and the nervous ones,
but
also,
also, like, I don't feel like, in the outside, it's not nearly as bad as it was. Like, you've got Marvel movies now, so it's all very much...
Everything's mainstream now.
It's mainstream, but when I was a kid, it wasn't. And, like, if you collected comics, or if you're into D&D or something, you just, you weren't cool. And but if you go to a convention, like, nobody's cool, and that means everybody's cool.
Yeah. Well, you're in with your own people.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that people get excited about whatever they're into. I may not know what it is, or what the cosplayer is dressed as, but I'm just so pumped that they're so excited. I find it too that
they invest in, like, some of these cosplayers.
Money.
Amazing, right? And the amount of money and time they invest in a costume. I'm the same as you. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but it looks amazing.
Someone else will recognise them, and they get such a kick out of that.
I think even if it's so niche, that's the like 95%. 95% won't know, but when that one person goes, "Oh my God, you're this from this," and you go, "Thank you, this is great."
I think that's one of the best parts back in the day when there was Manifest around, which obviously doesn't exist anymore. Manifest was solely focused on anime, and it was very exciting when Caroline and I used to sell there, seeing the young kids recognising these random people dressed up at whatever they're doing, and it's just, you look on the kid's face like, oh my God.
It's very cool. It's very niche, and I love it. So I have missed the conventions because not being able to be part of those kinds
Well,
of
it's
things
good that it's
again.
all started kicking back off.
Yeah.
And getting back to some sort of normality. Lucky Australia's in a place where we can be normal again.
It'll be slow going. But
It'll be slow, but it'd be good to see you back on the circuit doing the interstate stuff and maybe going back to New Caledonia.
Maybe.
That'd be exciting. Back to some sort of normality. I think they've been pretty good with COVID, so they're like probably riding the wave of just normality. But with so you've mentioned you've done Archie, and what's your biggest highlight out of being a comic book artist?
Oh, so it's really hard. I mean, I think
it's like choosing your children.
Yeah,
right?
it is. And some gigs are harder than others and easier than others. Like Simpsons was a dream. I've recently worked for Scotty Young's so I Hate Fairyland for Image, but he's collecting like doing some anthology kind of stuff. Cool. And that's the Untold Tales of I Hate Fairyland, and that was just a dream to work on.
Yeah.
And so the Archie graphic novel, I loved working the characters, but the deadline was really.
Were they really tight deadlines?
Was brutal, and that was like basically I've never worked. So it was 123 pages.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
So just under 5 months.
And not only that, it's a lot of wear and tear on your body, right?
Yeah. It was pretty brutal.
Do you get massages or?
Yeah,
I mean, you really need more than what you. Can
when COVID's, when lockdown's not on, I tried to go to the gym and strengthen my back and all those kind of things. But it takes its toll. So you look at. I'm so proud of that work, but I'm proud of it for different reasons because I thought, wow, I worked really hard on this, and I was really supported by my Kylie, my wife, my kids, really supported me.
That helps. I mean, you need that support in order to be the successful person that you are, because
I mean, you don't do it alone.
No, of course not.
That's probably the best part about it too, and because Simpsons being so well known and so far-reaching, the comic books were everywhere, which is a shame. For whatever reason, they decided to end them because, The Simpsons is limitless with all their stories that they're carrying on with.
Yeah. I thought the comics might have survived longer than the TV show.
Yeah, I'm surprised the TV show is going still. I think, too, a big help is it's on Disney Plus now. I think,
with a new
they got the House of Mouse banking them now, so they're not going to slow down anytime soon.
Yeah. No, I think it's a privilege. I still feel privileged to work on something like that because Simpsons fans are always great. You talk about some you might say some fandom. I'm not going to name names. Some fandom might be a little bit toxic, but Simpsons fans are not.
It's very interesting watching some of the episodes later as an adult. You go, oh yeah, I watched this, but maybe I was quite young at the time, or I didn't pick up on this. What's actually happening here? Yeah. Oh, I didn't realise this.
It's fascinating to see. I think also the older episodes, like what's happening at the time, and so very reflective.
Yes.
Of that.
Do you think some of the strips they did in The Simpsons have aged poorly with the world that is now? Do you think some of their,
Oh, you're talking
jokes they've done?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure it has. I can't think of anything specifically off the top of my head, but yeah, absolutely. And like you go, it was like the 90s. It's a really long time.
Well, The Simpsons have predicted everything up to date. I think they've predicted the Donald Trump stuff,
yeah.
We didn't get Lisa Simpson next, but I'm sure someone will be the next Lisa. Like it's one of those things. I think too, it's very interesting that something like The Simpsons has been so timeless. What are we at, 30 seasons, I think it is?
33 seasons.
Which is pretty, big stretch. And I was surprised when you made the announcement on your social media that it was done. And I was like, a little bit inside me, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Because, that's how we met you. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I would have just drawn it till I died, I think. And so, but it's kind of like not having it has forced me out to do other things, which is not bad. So with the Timmy the TikTok pony, I think that's the way I'm saying it probably. How do you find the process of creating the artwork for that? Is it a difficult process, or is it like a easy run process for you? To actually create the character how he looked took a long time to get right because Tim is really a persona of Magda. Really, it's like kind of like
and every character she's ever played is
So if someone showed me 20 drawings of the way I perceive myself as a pony, I'm not sure if I would get it right.
Could be very stinky.
Get it right either. So that took a while, and we actually had a meeting and stuff like that to run through. It wasn't bad.
Have you met her?
at the meeting. Yeah.
Oh wow! And how was she nice to you?
Yeah. No, she's lovely.
It's one of those things.
She's lovely.
I know a few people like that worked at Chadstone, and she's gone in and brought things, and they're like, "Oh my god, you're amazing!" And it's just been,
Oh yeah, like she's exactly how you would imagine her to be. I don't know. We've worked together on books with
paid. No.
Yeah, I don't want you to say. I don't want to present that like, me and Mag does. We hang out, but we
that's pretty good.
We work together. I think we work together well. And in that process, she's been exceptional and exactly how you would imagine her to be.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dean Rankine, for joining us.
Thank you. It's been fun.
So before we sum it up, I've got to stop rushing everything.
Yes.
Where can they buy the current book?
Oh yeah, so look out for Timmy the TikTok Pony, and it's like in all bookstores.
It's everywhere. I did see it recently. Yeah,
it's like Target, Kmart, anywhere basically.
Small booksellers.
Small booksellers.
Shout out to all the small booksellers.
Yeah, also small booksellers. Anyway, if you want to Google it, it's a fun book series.
Well, again, thank you for joining us, Dean. I will tag Dean's social media below, depending on which one he wants to tag me to tag him in, depending on which one he wants me to.
Oh yeah.
And I'll put like a link to like the web store of certain places where you can buy the book. Some small bookstores around town and stuff like that. You'll be able to purchase the book. Thank you again, Dean Rankine.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dean.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye, Ruby.